Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Recently added to the MVP 06 card, former champion Shannon Courtenay will be taking on Ebony Cotton, making her third appearance since signing with MVP in just over 8 months and her second at super flyweight. Since having moved down from 118, now vying to become a champion at 115, Shannon Courtenay is rebuilding herself. Sporting a professional record of 11 wins with 3 losses and no draws, 4 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 14 professional bouts. Her opponent sports a professional record of 2 wins with 2 losses, no recorded knockouts, having never been knocked out in 4 professional bouts. Needless to say that experience would have to go to Shannon Courtenay. That for Shannon, there's not a whole lot to be derived from an opponent like this, aside from getting a few rounds in, keeping busy, as Ebony Cotton was last in action against Ebony Bridges, a common opponent between her and Shannon. In April of this year, Ebony Bridges managed to win a points decision against her. Now, coming right off of that loss, she's about to fight Shannon Courtenay, who in all likelihood is going to beat her, the same as Ebony Bridges did. Shannon Courtenay, who's coming off of 3 consecutive victories after having dropped a decision to Catherine Ramos in October of 2024. Currently on a 3-fight winning streak. Though given the kind of opponents she's been fighting, Beck Connolly, Jessica Maltez, Sasha Booker, now Ebony Cotton, this looks to be her 3rd straight keep busy fight against this kind of an opponent that since dropping that decision to Catherine, the quality of competition hasn't gotten much better. As these can only be described as maintenance fights and confidence building fights, stay busy fights, in all actuality, it's been a very long time since Shannon Courtenay fought anybody that was world level, fought anybody solid. I think the last solid opponent that she fought would have to have been Jamie Mitchell, way back there in October of 2021. So the quality of competition drops significantly after that loss, and it hasn't picked up since then. She's been campaigning as a super flyweight in her last few fights. I want to say it's been the last 1 or 2 after having been WBA bantamweight champion and losing her belt. She has since dropped down to super flyweight and means to become a 2-weight world champion. I think the problem is the super flyweight division is deeper even than bantamweight. I wouldn't give Shannon good odds to win a title at bantam right now because Dina has all of them. Dina Thorsland. And Dina beats her. But it isn't much better at super flyweight, even though the alphabet titles are split 4 ways between 4 different champions. These are very good fighters, and that's not even counting the contenders that make up this division. Perhaps that's why Shannon Courtenay's quality of competition has basically been stay busy fight after stay busy fight after stay busy fight. It's been a long time since she fought a live body, and she's not doing that now fighting Ebony Cotton, who in all likelihood she's going to beat. But how does fighting her get you ready for the champions at this weight? It really doesn't. So what is the best course of action for Shannon beyond this fight? Because at some point, she's going to have to shit or get off the pot. Things are going to have to get serious. Which world champion at Superfly does she stand the best chance of beating? I would have to say it's either the WBA champion, Natalie Delgado, who's already been beat 7 times before, or Irma Garcia, who's already been beat 5 times before and is in her early 40s. Now, don't let those losses fool you, or Irma Garcia's age. These are not easy fights. It's all relative. It's easier than, say, going after Adelaida Ruiz, Mizuki Hiruta. In a very general sense, there are no world titles of opportunity at super flyweight. You're in for a fight for any of those belts that you go after. If you're Shannon Courtenay, Natalie Delgado and Irma Garcia are both coming off of wins over unbeaten fighters. Natalie beat unbeaten Jasmine Artiga for the WBA title. Irma, she beat unbeaten Amadoulan, knocked her out. The both of those champions are coming off of big wins over what were unbeaten fighters. And they could end up beating a Shannon Courtenay, but compared to the 2 other champions at this weight, Shannon would sooner beat one of them than beat either Adelaida Ruiz
or Mizuki Hiruta. So if I were the one guiding her career, those would have to be the belts that I'd go after. Either the WBA or the IBF title. At some point, things are going to have to get serious as Shannon is fighting in her fourth consecutive stay busy fight against a pedestrian-level opponent. I expect after this, in what remains of this year, maybe we see Shannon fighting for a title. As far as this fight, she's gonna win it. It's an easy one.
Men's lightweight news. Robert Garcia questions Shakur Stevenson's 135-pound Muratalla demand. Robert Garcia believes Shakur Stevenson wants Raymond Muratalla at 135 partly because the IBF lightweight champion struggles to make the limit. Shakur has a legitimate reason for wanting the bout at lightweight he has previously talked about, defeating Muratalla to capture the Ring Lightweight Championship, giving him another championship while already holding the WBO and Ring Magazine titles at 140.
The whole thing accents what I often say about American fighters, the ones these days. Are they really that good, or are they just playing games with the weight? Because oftentimes, when you hear about catch weights and rehydration clauses, you're hearing about American fighters trying to handicap each other.
So Shakur Stevenson all of a sudden, after having already left 135, says that he wants to fight Raymond at 135, and Robert Garcia, his trainer, sees the motive. If Shakur really wants to fight Raymond, and he's holding a title at 140, why? That's telling you he wants to get Raymond weak. Garcia said to Fight Hype, "I just told you, Raymond told us he didn't feel as strong. That means he's weak. He wants to take advantage of that."
That's what it sounds like. If Shakur already left that division, why would he move back down? What would be the advantage? And the advantage would have to be that Raymond needs to move up.
Muratalla gave his trainer ammunition for that argument during his August 1st win over Robson Conceição. Garcia said Muratalla struggled during the cut and told
his team afterwards that his conditioning remained good, but his strength wasn't there.
The IBF second-day weigh-in created another difficulty by limiting Muratalla to a 10-pound gain. Garcia believes Muratalla belongs at 140 unless a lightweight unification eliminates that restriction. That gives Shakur two reasons to prefer 135. Beating Muratalla there offers him the Ring Magazine Lightweight Championship while also requiring Muratalla to return to a division his own trainer believes is sapping his strength. Garcia understands why Shakur would want that advantage. He refuses to give it to him. He's a champion. He holds a belt at 140. Defend your belt, Garcia said. Defend it against Raymond.
Moving a fight to 140 removes the weight issue and gives Shakur a physically stronger version of Muratalla. Garcia believes his fighter has the pressure, the body punching, the size and strength to make the matchup difficult. William Zepeda already demonstrated the value of sustained pressure against Shakur. He stayed close, attacked the body, and kept throwing rather than allowing Shakur to control the fight entirely at his preferred distance. Garcia believes Muratalla is bigger and stronger than William, with a better overall skill set. That comparison has one obvious weakness. Muratalla doesn't throw punches at anything close to Zepeda's rate. Zepeda's relentless output was a major reason he remained competitive against Shakur, and Muratalla would have to find another way to prevent him from settling into a comfortable boxing rhythm.
I would not compare Raymond's output to Williams because there is no comparison.
Still, Muratalla at 140 presents a more revealing fight. At 135, any win by Shakur would immediately bring questions about how much the weight cut took out of Muratalla. Garcia wants to fight in November or December. If Shakur lands Devin Haney instead, which isn't likely, he understands why the bigger payday would take priority. Without Haney, Garcia's challenge is harder to dismiss.
He's not going to get Devin.
Shakur already owns a title at 140. If he wants to prove Muratalla isn't on his level, he can do it without asking him to fight the scale first.
Shakur's not getting Devin because Shakur just migrated over to Zuffa, where Devin just inked the deal directly with DAZN.
Shakur's not getting Devin because they're stuck on at what weight the fight would take place. Devin wants it at 147, where Shakur wants a catch weight.
I don't think Devin becomes a realistic possibility for Shakur until maybe next year, when Shakur is finally ready to fight at a full 147 pounds.
But now it is Raymond.
And Shakur would be wise to take him up on his offer to fight him at a full 140 because there are not a lot of people calling out Shakur Stevenson for a fight. He doesn't have that many options. Teofimo Lopez who Shakur recently beat, argues that Shakur's not good for boxing.
Sure, that's not just a case of sour grapes.
Could be, but there might be some truth to it also, since adding Teofimo Lopez's Ring Magazine and WBO Super Lightweight titles to his collection this past January in New York's MSG, practically everyone has been singing Stevenson's praises louder than usual. The universal adulation shouldn't be given to someone with Stevenson's style, according to the trainer who watched his son being soundly beaten that night earlier this year. So while Stevenson does hold a perfect 25-0 record, he doesn't believe his defensive mentality should be touted. They want this kid to be something he's not gonna be, Lopez Sr. said. During the latest episode of Mr. Versace's podcast, he's gonna be boring all of his life. He's not good for boxing. Stevenson's preferred weapon of choice, that might be the jab, landing a career-high 105 jabs compared to just 16 for Lopez, in what quickly proved a defensive masterclass.
Two things can be true at the same time. Teofimo Lopez Sr. is a loser. A sore fucking loser, living vicariously through his son. And whatever you want to say about Shakur, that they want him to be something he's not going to be, we could also say that about your son.
So where are two things true at the same time?
We'll get to that. Naturally, Team Lopez are keen to put that comprehensive 12-round loss behind them, and the two division champions stressed as much, pointing to Stevenson's Zuffa move as the reason not to speak about him any longer. On August 22nd at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, Lopez will attempt to become a 3-weight world champion when challenging WBA champion Rolly Romero. For Lopez Sr., he knows that his son's stock isn't particularly high at present, but remains confident that will change. The 58-year-old views a spectacular win over Romero, who hasn't boxed since an upset points win over Ryan Garcia in May of last year, as the remedy needed for Teofimo to catapult himself back to the division's very top.
With so much on the line for both men, he believes next weekend's event will showcase a night to remember. You're going to see something that you've never seen, Lopez Sr. continued. In boxing, he's an entertainer. That's why he does stuff that nobody's ever seen before. When my son is happy, nobody can beat him.
Now let me stop you right there. Because what is it that you're going to do with Rolly that we've never seen before? Beat him? We've already seen Rolly beat, not once but twice. Gervonta Davis knocked him out, Isaac Cruz knocked him out, Ishmael Barroso came very close.
They set the bar so low for themselves and so high for Shakur Stevenson, who beat your son. Whatever negative comments you have to make, you have to say about Shakur, reflect poorly on your son because Shakur's the one that beat him.
No matter what, and made it look easy.
So where is it that two things are true at the same time? Why should we entertain anything the Lopezes have to say about Shakur if most of it is motivated by being sore fucking losers?
There is something to the contention that Shakur Stevenson is bad for boxing. Consider that, by all rights, he's coming off a career-best win and a dominant performance over Teofimo Lopez. But when Shakur Stevenson dominates, it's really nothing to write home about. He's not a guy you can show one of his fights to a casual and make a boxing fan out of them.
You won't.
That's understanding that whatever Lopez Sr. says about Shakur, you have to take with a pinch of salt. You have to analyze it and where it's really coming from. With him, you're just a sore fucking loser.
That's why he's saying that, but is there any truth to it? And there actually is. When you consider that, Shakur Stevenson doesn't seem interested in unifying his own division at 140 with the champions that are there.
He doesn't want to do that, but he doesn't want to fight at a full 147 either. He wants a catch weight for Ryan and a catch weight for Devin, where before he said he would fight Conor Benn at 154.
Wants Raymond Muratalla at 135.
All this fucking weight stuff. Simultaneously, he refuses to fight his own old buddy, Keyshawn Davis, where they're supposed to be two top fighters in the sport that are highly unlikely to fight each other. And this is where Shakur Stevenson is bad for boxing. He's a picky eater.
Too picky to be so fucking boring. You would never think that he's coming off a career-best win earlier this year, the way the buzz around him has quickly dissipated. I can't pretend to be excited to see Shakur Stevenson do anything with anyone.
And that's not sour grapes. I picked Shakur Stevenson to beat William Zepeda. I picked Shakur Stevenson to beat Teofimo Lopez.
Can't be sour grapes because I don't even fucking like the Lopezes. But there's some truth in saying that maybe a fighter like Shakur is not good for boxing because here you have a guy who doesn't seem to want to do anything while demanding big money.
Very big money.
You hear me talk about it all the time, how current market inflation is primarily driven by the fighters' inflated purse demands. They require too much money to get out there, so much it's near impossible to make a profit.
Practically every solid fight ends up behind a paywall, which costs the consumer that much more money, making boxing that much more expensive to watch, and it's primarily driven by fighters like Shakur.
But he's on Zuffa now, and Zuffa doesn't do pay-per-views, so doesn't that help?
Not really. Not if he doesn't have the opponents. You want me to go through this again? He's not interested in unifying his own division with the champions that are there. He doesn't want to fight Keyshawn Davis. He doesn't want to fight at a full 147.
Remember, he doesn't want to fight O'Shaquie Foster.
And he only seems to want to fight Raymond Muratalla at 135, even though Shakur Stevenson already left 135, and Raymond, he's about to. So this is where Teofimo Lopez Sr. might actually have a point. It's like pulling teeth to get this kid to do anything, and when he does it, it's painfully fucking boring.
What's good for boxing? What's bad for boxing? What's good for boxing is a fighter who can keep the audience interested and continually draw eyes to the sport, draw the eyeballs, and generate the money.
Gotta characterize the two to be able to distinguish who's good and who's bad.
It's good for boxing and what's bad for boxing. And even if Shakur Stevenson is accomplished in his own right and skilled in his own way, very dominant, you can't say that he's drawing more eyeballs to the sport.
Can't say that he's generating all this money for boxing?
You could say that he's asking for a lot of money to get out there and box, but how much is he actually generating? Even if you have a taste for Shakur Stevenson's brand of boxing and that base style that I've no stomach for, simple question, could you show someone a Shakur Stevenson fight, a casual boxing fan, not a hardcore that might have developed an appetite for this kind of boxer?
Taste for this kind of stuff.
Not them, but casuals. Could you show somebody who's really not that big a boxing fan, doesn't watch the sport as much as I or you, a Shakur Stevenson fight and make a fan out of them?
You know the answer. We all do.
There's no denying that Shakur Stevenson is not the kind of fighter that electrifies an audience, that draws people to the sport. Not with that base style.
Before you go arguing against it in the comment section, don't you remember what Shannon Sharp recently said? Shannon Sharp is a casual boxing fan.
Shannon said it. He would not fork over his money to see a guy like Shakur Stevenson fight. Simple as.
And he's a casual. I'm a hardcore. And I'm telling you, there's not a situation, there's not really a fight involving Shakur or any other boxer like him that I'm excited about, that I would want to see, because in all likelihood, he's going to dominate.
I'm not saying he won't, and I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying he's not entertaining. And at its base, for the consumer, what boxing is entertainment.
It's supposed to be.
So how do you categorize a very skilled fighter who's dominant but isn't entertaining? You could argue that that fighter might be bad for boxing.